What's up, y'all? My name's Holly. Welcome to Traumedy Hour. Damn, I almost forgot the intro for a second. It's been a minute. I think it's been like 3 weeks since my last episode because I just needed to sit and eat my humble pie by myself for a couple weeks. I have been royally humbled. Um, I've been reflecting a lot on where I was at a couple weeks ago when I put that episode out. So episode 10 ended on an emotional note, and I recorded and edited that episode in one day, and then I put it online the next day. So that was a very quickly done episode that I needed some time to process after the fact. It's been interesting. I think I want to start off by clarifying a couple of things that I said because I don't feel good about it. I feel badly about some of the jokes that I made about mental illness. And I'm saying this purely based on how I feel about it. No one has said anything to me. Some of the things that I said about mental illness, trying to make jokes about it, I ended up feeling bad about it pretty much immediately because I don't think mental illness is funny. I think true severe mental illness ruins people and their lives and families all the time. It's not funny. And I said a couple of things that literally have been haunting me for the last 3 weeks. I do this to myself all the time. I just don't feel good about it. So I wanted to clean it up. I said something along the lines of everyone out there has some kind of mental illness. And that's not true. That's just factually untrue. And I know that. I think I was more being facetious and trying to ease my own pain by making jokes. And I ended up feeling bad about it afterward. I just want to clear the air. Mental illness is not funny. It's not a joke. It is a serious thing, and people have serious diagnoses that they're being treated for, and it's just poor taste for me to make jokes about it. So I want to apologize if I hurt anyone's feelings. I have no idea. No one said anything to me. I hurt my own feelings. So sorry. I have been assessed for many things. I do not have bipolar disorder. I do not have ADHD. I do have depression. I do have severe anxiety. I do have some OCD. I have my own deck of cards. And I do not want to invalidate anyone out there or hurt anyone's feelings or make them feel badly about their mental struggles. That's the last fucking thing we need. This is kind of the humble pie that I was talking about. I've really just had a couple of revolutionary conversations in the last 3 weeks with my therapist, with my friends. I think I just have been more open and honest with people about how I feel and trying to get below the anger, because the anger is not working for me and I feel very angry, and I think it's coming across that way. I think people are starting to pull away from me because of the anger, and that's not sustainable for me. That's not what I want. I don't want to be an angry person, and I do not want other people that I love and care about starting to push me away or feel like they can't have me in their life because I'm a negative, angry bitch. And I know that I think that I'm often really hard on myself. I don't know. I really don't know how people are perceiving me, honestly. I think some of my own problems I've been dealing with are because of this fucking vacuum that I live in by myself. And the last couple of weeks since the last episode came out, I've just started to be more honest with people. Basically, pick up the phone and say, I'm hurting right now. I'm feeling really down. I am having an identity crisis. I'm feeling very angry. I am confused. I'm feeling lost. And I think just being honest about how I'm actually feeling has shifted a few things. And then in response to my honesty, people are meeting me with compassion and love and grace and empathy and hugs and comfort and all the things that I convinced myself weren't going to be there for me. And of course, people that love me rose to the occasion. I know that I have a lot of people who love me, and I basically just reached out to them. I scheduled a last minute therapy appointment because I was really upset. I was like, I'm having an identity crisis. I really am. And I think that this whole situation with the cyst in my wrist and not being able to play music, it's just a lot bigger than, than what I said it. It's more than that. Basically, it's more than that surface, like, oh, your wrist hurts so you can't play guitar. It's way deeper than that. I know that. I don't know if that came across clearly last time. But it's like, whoa. Yeah, I had a really serious emotional reaction about it. So I've just been exploring where I'm at and why I'm feeling these things. And if they're not working for me and they're making me feel like shit, then what can I do about it? And that's just where I've been at. So I think, yeah, I wanted to apologize for making tasteless, facetious jokes from a place of pain that were about mental illness, my own or other people's. Like, it's just not appropriate, And I don't want to do that anymore. So I needed to clear that up. I'm just trying to get down below the anger because I know from my experience and my knowledge that anger is a blanket that's covering the real issues. So anger is like a symptom of something else. And I've been really angry. I feel angry. I feel like my anger shows up in weird ways. I'm not going to like throw stuff across the room and scream usually. I think for me, I'm feeling it. Maybe more than other people are seeing it. I'm feeling a lot of anger and resentment, and it's just not getting me anywhere. If anything, it's taking me backwards. I don't want to go backwards. I've spent a lot of time and money and effort trying to grow, and I want to keep doing that. So I think a realization I've had is that some of this anger, or maybe most of it, or maybe all of it, it's about myself. I'm angry at myself for feeling like I'm not aligned with my true, authentic version of myself. Like, I'm feeling a little lost. I just feel like I have strayed from my true character, which is being at peace with myself. And maybe I was never actually there. I don't know. I've had times in my life where I felt at peace with myself, and I don't feel at peace with myself. I'm not fucking pretending that I do. I'm fucking confused, dude. You're confused. I'm confused. I'm just trying to figure my shit out, and I'm doing it publicly, which is so embarrassing. I feel like I've definitely bit off way more than I can chew. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, I wish that I had never been perceived, like, ever, on any level, for any reason, at any point in time. Please unperceive me. Like, I feel like I've said way too much. I'm here taking my own medicine with my fucking foot in my mouth, dude. I am eating my words because I feel like it's subconscious. It's my ego. My ego has been driving for way too long. He's going way too fast. And my ego has been fractured because I've lost my main source of feeding my ego, which is being a singer-songwriter who performs for a bunch of people to get praise. Like, it makes sense logically that performers like the attention. Why would we do it? Like, if I was scared of attention, I would not be here right now. I'm not afraid of attention. I think my ego is like, dying. They, he, they, whatever. My ego is dying because I don't have any of the things that I used to feed it with. I think I'm in grief because of this. My ego, I'm grieving. My ego's grieving. I'm grieving the loss of not just like being able to play music, which is literally my life's calling, and I'm fucked up without it. But also I'm grieving like my ego's death in its like in and of itself, because I think I've been really attached to my ego, and I think it's gotten me really far in my life. Kind of, question mark? I don't know. Like my ego has carried me through some things. Like denial has worked in my favor to keep me alive. It's very like animalistic in some ways. And honestly, doing all this publicly was probably an ego-driven decision also. Lots of things that I do are driven by my ego, unfortunately. I'm here fessing up to it. Like, who fucking puts their shit on blast like I do? I've done this my whole life. It's fucking weird. I know. Subconsciously, I think I felt that maybe if I could go out there and tell my victim story and all those things that, point the finger at everything everyone's ever done to me, that I would feel a sense of justice and validation. I just need to validate what happened to me, because I feel like I've been hiding it for so long. And the people that hurt me love to hide, and they're not going to fucking tell you what they've done. And I really wanted to publicly talk about all this shit and put people on blast and call people out and say like, no more, here's what we need to do to change. And I don't know. I think that reality has finally stepped on my skull. I'm starting to see that there's just too much going on. It's way deeper than that. It's not that simple, not that easy. I can't just come out here and say like, the misogynists are bad, like we need to fix incels. It's true. We have a lot of fucking problems in this world that need to be fixed like yesterday. That is a fact. I'm not denying that. I think I just had come to the table with a little bit more of an ego than I should have, because it's not going to be solved in my lifetime, pretty much. I'm not going to affect as much change as I thought I would. I'm not going to be able to change as many things as I hoped to. And that's kind of sad. Honestly, that's like another layer of grief, that the world is not what I was told that it was. And not only that, but it's worse. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. I feel like if I learned anything in the last 2 years, like with all the societal stuff going on and the political stuff going on and the global health issues going on, all of these things in the last few years have taught me that at the end of the day, everyone is just going to look out for themselves, and they will toss you overboard to get a spot in the lifeboat. People will do that. Even people that you trust and love will do that. At the end of the day, I believe that the majority of people will step on your fucking back to get to safety. Because we're animals and we want to protect ourselves. I think that I'm grieving my concept of the world and of people, and that like this I've just been functioning on like a level of constant shock at how fucked up everyone is. Like, how the fuck are we doing this to each other? Every day we're invading and we're killing and we're murdering and we're raping and we're pillaging and we're crushing their necks in the street, and we just don't care. Like, I don't know, dude. It's like, I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it, but my rose-colored glasses have been yanked off my head and crushed on the ground. I'm having to see things for what they really are. Like, layer by layer, a little bit more every fucking day. I don't know, dude. It gets exhausting. And then on top of that, it's like what about on a micro level and just my life and like all the fucking wars and the battles and the traumas that are just happening to me? Oh my God, I can't fucking carry it anymore. I'm exhausted. I'm hurting. I feel constantly like on the verge of tears, like right now. I constantly feel like I'm just trying to keep my head above the water. I'm trying to function. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to like get somewhere. I'm trying to do something. I'm trying to be someone. And I've always felt like that. And now I'm like, is this a fucking game? Did someone put me in this game? And am I part of this system of like just this perpetual, if they keep the mice running, we won't look at what's happening in the room? So I'm feeling like a mouse on a fucking, those, what are those goddamn things called? Little mouse Ferris wheel, whatever the fuck. I'm feeling like that for my whole life, just like going and going and going. And I've tried literally everything. Every self-help thing I bought into, every lifestyle change I could think of. I've tried drugs, I've tried alcohol, I've tried meditation, I have tried relationships, I have tried singlehood, I have tried like everything. And I'm just taking my own medicine, dude, because you cannot solve an internal problem with an external source. The source of the problem is within me, and the only way I can fix it is within me. Light bulb. And not only that, but like healing has not come from talking badly about other people. I really, really, really want to talk shit about the people who have hurt me. I want to put a spotlight on them and be like, this motherfucker fucked me. Not in a good way. Like, I really want that to work and to make me healed, but it just doesn't. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Healing is coming only in those moments when I'm being truly vulnerable and taking responsibility for my part and moving forward and letting go. I feel like I don't know how to do that very well. It's really hard. I'm struggling, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the right thing. That's what I do. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's the type of example that I want to be. I want to do the right thing and I want to make the world better. And I think the only way I can do that in an impactful way is to make myself better and to not be angry and not be perpetuating hurt. And I'm like, now that I'm saying all this, I'm like, it's not just about family trauma, like being perpetuated by having kids. I'm like, oh my God, I'm just projecting it on everyone else because I'm, I openly admit I would be a great mom. I'm terrified. I don't want to. I don't want to be a mom. I don't trust myself to be a better man than what I am right now. I laugh because I'm saying be a better man like a catchphrase, but I know what is involved with having kids. It's not for me. The risks are not worth it for me. And also, I do not trust myself to not put my trauma on my children, on my hypothetical children. Like, I just don't feel like I can do that. I obviously am still having a hard time. I know that if I had had kids 5 years ago or whatever, I would have fucked them up by now. Like, I don't know. It's not like, oh, I'm a better person because I'm not going to perpetuate trauma by having kids. I'm fucking scared. I'm terrified. I don't trust myself. That's where it's coming from. That's the place it's coming from. And I feel the same way about relationships. Like, I talk shit about incels, like incel culture. For those who have never heard that term, incel is American internet slang for the term involuntarily celibate. They shortened it to the word incel. And involuntarily celibate generally pertains to cisgendered heterosexual men who are celibate against their will. They want to have romantic and sexual relationships with women, but it's not working out for them. Therefore, they are involuntarily celibate. And then that word has kind of gotten carried away into representing men who are bitter and angry about this. And the incel culture is anger, bitterness. It's the woman's fault. I am owed something. I have been betrayed and lied to. And they carry the anger and the pain and they project it onto the perpetrators of the pain, like who caused them pain or whatever. And then they carry this around with them, pointing fingers and saying it's all your fault. The piece that's missing is, what about your role in it, Mr. Incel? And unfortunately, I'm seeing a lot of commonalities between my behavior and my mentality about life and those type of men and their mentality about what they're owed from women. Because I just feel like I deserve more from life. And that's great. That's great for me. I can feel like I deserve more, but I'm not getting it. I need to learn to deal with what I'm getting and what the reality is. I'm not able to make any change by being angry and entitled. It's not going to do anything. I'm telling myself that as a fact in this moment because it's so hard. I feel as though my relationship history and my history with my parents and my history with religion or a cult, if you will, like, I feel that I have gotten PTSD from those things. I feel very deeply traumatized by the things that have happened to me, and I'm starting to read about and learn about the concept of trauma is not about the thing that happened to you. It's about what happens within you when something happens, like when a trauma like occurs. So I'm learning this from Dr. Nicole what the heck is her name? She goes by the holistic psychologist online. She's called the holistic psychologist. She's an author, she's a psychologist, she's a speaker, and she's leading a lot of trauma work on the internet and like helping people heal. I've been following her and reading her stuff, and some of the stuff she's been sharing is really resonating with me because this is where I'm at right now. Trauma is not the activity of like what happened. So for example, I look at all my siblings. I'm one of 8 kids. I feel that I have been affected on a very different level than the rest of the kids. And it's making me say, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me? I don't fucking know, dude. I felt like this my whole life. What's wrong with me? I was talking the other day to a friend about the Christian church that we grew up in. And he was expressing what was going on in his mind when he was hearing things that he didn't believe in. And for example, he was saying, people would tell me that God told them something, that God spoke to them. And he's like, well, God doesn't speak to me, so that sounds like bullshit. And for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I heard God doesn't, like the way that it affected me was God doesn't speak to me because I don't deserve it. Everything in my life ended with the phrase, I don't deserve it. If it's something I wanted and didn't get, it's because I didn't deserve it. If it was bad and it hurt, it was because I did deserve it. Like, I have this thing that I don't deserve goodness, and I can talk a lot of game. I could spit fucking game all I want. But deep down, that's the truth, is that I don't feel like I deserve good things. And this is why I've never had a good relationship. This is why I struggle to have good things in my life. I've had to force myself to like be okay with like having a good job and having a good car and having a good place to live, because I had to force myself to sit and go, okay, you deserve this. Which, it's so fucking ironic that I feel like my ego's driving, but I have to be like, I deserve good things. Like a little child, I don't know. It's so confusing. And it's giving me a lot of fresh perspective, and it's giving me a lot of newfound compassion for other people, to be brutally honest. I mean, it also is giving me insight into how cruel I am to myself. I have absolutely no mercy for myself. Merciless, graceless. I have no, I have this very like drill instructor, no excuses. And I think it honestly showed up in the last episode, like how I was kind of bullying myself about being sad. There's bigger problems in the world, and, yes, that's true. But as my best friend so lovingly reminded me, multiple things can be true at once. Like, the world can be falling apart, things can be going horribly wrong, but I can also be really sad and grieving my great love and my big hobby and like all this stuff. It can all coexist. That's really hard for me. I'm gonna have to work on that. I need to take a drink because I'm just like choking back the tears this whole time. Even in this moment, talking about all these things, my hands are sweating, my throat is like really tense, and I there's a lump forming, there's tears behind my eyeballs that I'm holding in. This makes me uncomfortable. But I think that that's the piece that's been missing, is I've been exploring things and growing in ways that are still comfortable for me. And I'm really being tested now in my ability to push past those growth aspects that are comfortable and push myself into the ones that are really uncomfortable. And in doing this exercise, in this moment in my life, this is all happening right now, I'm realizing how it must be for other people who in my mind, I'm like, just change, just go get some help and like fix your fucking self. Like, it's not that hard. It is hard, actually. This is now the part, I have reached the part where it is hard for me, which is giving me compassion for other people who struggle to even pick up the phone and look for a therapist. That part wasn't hard for me. Finding a therapist, crying in their office, taking antidepressants, those things were not hard for me. What's hard for me is being stone cold sober and just dealing with the reality of my ego and what responsibility I play in all the fucked up pieces of my life. Because the common denominator in every relationship, every friendship, every job, every interaction, every hobby, everything that I've ever done, the only common denominator has been me. So I obviously am bringing baggage with me. And it's definitely not that I have ever claimed to be perfect verbally, but I think my ego has been standing between me and my growth. I cried in my therapist's office like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, I feel like there's a blockage. There's something blocking me. I've done a lot of work on my family issues. I've done a lot of work on like healing religious trauma. I'm like, how much more? I've been talking about this shit for 3 years. What's in the way? What's blocking me? Well, turns out it's my ego. That motherfucker. I'm just sitting with it. I've been in pain for a long time, sitting in my pain. I've been hiding from it in some ways. I have a very addictive personality in that way, where if I find something that alleviates the pain even a little bit, I'm going to abuse that something until it stops working. Video games, YouTube, podcasts, music, marijuana, alcohol. I think I used to use alcohol a little bit. The reason I don't drink alcohol is because I feel like shit for 3 days after I drink it. Like, my body's rejecting it. But I think if that weren't the case, I would probably have an alcohol problem. And right now I have a weed problem. I've been a daily weed smoker. I should say nightly, because I usually don't smoke during the day. I've been a nightly weed smoker for like 5 years. I'm not even going to do the math on how much money I spent on marijuana, because it gives me reprieve from my pain. It stops my brain from spiraling. It gives me a break from feeling angry and hurt. I am working very hard to hold in the waterworks because I just want to get through this episode like I have collected my thoughts. I definitely have gone overboard, even like getting the Nintendo Switch and playing Animal Crossing. I could have had a part-time job for how much time I play Animal Crossing. By the way, if you want to visit my island, you're invited. My island's called Kush Cove because I smoke weed and play Animal Crossing. I feel like it's funny because it's what we do. I think like living in this world is brutal. It's painful. I feel like it has been lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes of systems being put into place to make us feel like we are never going to be okay. And it's working. The systems are working the way that they're supposed to. They're keeping us poor. They're keeping us hurt and perpetuating trauma because then we're not a threat to anyone in a position of power. So that's like way off a rabbit trail, but maybe we'll talk about that another time. I do think that when you get thrown into the bottom of an empty well with no rope and no ladder, it's almost impossible to get out. It's not impossible, but it almost is. And that's how I feel about my life. I feel like I really do feel like I was thrown into the bottom of an empty well with no tools. And I'm like at the top and I have my fucking claws in the dirt and I'm hanging on. I'm not out of the well yet, but I'm close. I'm close. It just gives me perspective on like what it means to do your best, because I said in my last episode that's something that I have a really hard time with, is like people saying, well, I did the best I could. Okay, well, I drove my car off a cliff. That was the best I could do. Like that's I don't know. I think about my parents and how they did the best that they could. I don't understand it, but then I do, because I'm like, I'm doing the best I can. And I know for a fucking fact that I have said hurtful shit, that I have offended people, that people have walked away from interactions with me wishing they had never said anything or that they'd never met me. Like, I'm sure that has happened. I'm a human, and it's like, I have to offer that same courtesy to my fucking parents, regardless of the fact that the pain and the trauma has set the course for my life. The shit that I inherited from my parents was not good, and I guess it was better than what they inherited from theirs. I just am like, I have worked really hard my whole life to do the best that I can at all times. And even then, I continually fail. And I keep doing the best that I can. And I know that's true about me. Then I need to give other people that same grace and courtesy, that we are all doing the best that we can with what we have. And that goes for my parents and my grandparents and my great-grandparents. And it's not right. It's not fair. The levels of abuse that have trickled down through the generations of my family. I'm angry about it, but I have to let it go and move on. I have no choice. I have held on to it. I have tried to massage it and talk about it and therapize it, intellectualize it, read about it, fast about it, what the fuck ever. Nothing works except letting it go. I fucking wish that wasn't the case, but it just is. I would love to know if anybody else struggles with these same feelings, because I feel shitty. I feel like a shitty person for feeling like I expect so much more out of humans, myself included. I've definitely disappointed myself a lot. And yet I still think I'm awesome. Isn't it so funny? I don't know, dude. I think about like going back to the incel culture. I talk a lot of shit about like men and how fucked up dating is and all the horrible things that have happened. And yes, those are all true. Like I'm not lying. I don't gain anything by like telling false stories that make me look like an idiot. I'm telling the truth about those experiences, but I'm also like, oh, I'm part of the problem. I too have pain. It's really hard not to project it onto every man on earth when my experience with men has been horrible. My dad is a piece of human garbage. He's a liar. He's a thief. He's an abuser. He's narcissistic. In my assessment of knowing him my whole life, I feel that experience has tainted the waters of every man that I've interacted with. It's like, what do we expect to happen to a child, an infant, a clean slate, who comes into this world to parents who are dysfunctional and don't bond with the child? I had no bond with my dad in my memories. I do not remember feeling bonded to my father. And I feel like what that created is this. This person that is before you now, with this track record, with this history, with this relationship history, with this life decision history. And it's not all bad, because I feel like a lot of this has built the resilience and the strength and the articulation of my feelings, and like a lot of my good qualities are born out of the same trauma that my horrible qualities come from. So I can see the silver lining in some of it, but it's also like that experience of having a father like that, it was the mold in which I was comfortable. Like, that mold of a man is what I'm comfortable with. Unfortunately, against my fucking wishes, dude. I wish it weren't like that. I wish that it had not affected me the way that it did. I wish that I had gotten a real father, but I didn't. And I can see now how that shaped my attraction to equally dysfunctional and abusive people and other men. And then it's like, of course, those dysfunctional and abusive men hurt me, just like my dad did, like over and over and over. And then I feel jaded now, and I feel scared out of my goddamn fucking mind to try again. Collect your thoughts, Holly. I do feel scared to try again at relationships, because when I look at the history of my relationships, my romantic relationships, my friendships have been different, but my romantic relationships have been all so dysfunctional that I don't think true intimacy and true security ever existed in any of my relationships. So I have spent a collective 15 years of my 34 years with the title of girlfriend or fiance or wife. I have been someone's counterpart for 15 years combined. And in those 15 years of different levels of committed relationships, I have never experienced true, vulnerable emotional intimacy, true, vulnerable sexual intimacy, or true, vulnerable safety and security in a relationship. That is my experience. And that experience shapes who I am now. And who I am now is someone who's growing into a point of really severe discomfort with myself and just facing who I really am in contrast to who I want to be, who I believe I am. And then there's like the relationship aspect of, okay, I have always had partners who were already abusive before I got to them, or dysfunctional. They weren't all abusive, but emotional issues, sexual issues, relational issues, financial issues. Like they've had severe issues that created serious problems. And those people are my only experience. Those men are my only experience in love. So I have never been in the world of, you don't know what you're missing. Like, men are so great. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? I can definitely acknowledge how all of that has traumatized me and shaped my perception of future relationships. And, like, somewhat paralyzed me from even pursuing them. There is truth to a lot of the criticisms that I have of men and dating. Like, my experiences are real, and like people do fucking masturbate in front of you when you are not consenting, and they will assault you, they will harass you, they will threaten you in text messages. Like, there is valid concern to be had about men out there in the world harassing women. However, I have to also hold the same truth that I have only had bad experiences. I have no good experiences to reference. Only weirdos, freaks, abusers, selfish people. And I'm like, what? Which one am I? I don't know. I don't fucking know, dude. I just feel exhausted from like fighting the system, fighting myself, fighting my ego. I think I've been worn down finally. I'm at rock bottom. I'm having to come to Jesus or whatever fucking cliche statement you want to say. And I've already tried every, like, not a single external thing has made me feel better. I've got a great career, got a great promotion, got a great car. I have great pets. I live in a great city. I have like great coworkers. I have incredible friends. I have great siblings. People want to hang out with me still. Like, there's a lot of good things. I have all these great things externally. What's going on inside of me that I still feel like this? The problem is within me. I'm laughing because I hate it so much. I just hate this. I'm crawling out of my skin. And I am sitting with the compassion that I have for people who are also broken and hurting, but they don't have the time, the energy, the resources to do anything about it. You know, like, it's easy for me to look at like a married couple with kids and be like, get your shit together, go to therapy, fix yourselves. That's how I feel. And that's how I treat myself. But then I'm like, oh, I'm doing it as a single childless person who has a bunch of free time and a disposable income. That is not the case for most people. Most people do not have the opportunity that I do. And I can recognize that as a privilege that is not accessible to the majority of people. And I need to take it the fuck easy. I need to take it easy on people. I need to take it easy on myself. I think we really are all doing the best we can. And I think that the best we can do is not that great because we've been set up to fail. Because we're humans. We're humans, and society is set up to be really, really difficult and to keep us down. Life is hard. It's way harder than I thought, honestly. I do feel good like that I'm single and don't have kids. I think this is the right thing for me. I think what's dawning on me is that it's not my place to know or judge or tell someone else what is right for them. Because if I don't even know what I'm doing with me, and I've lived in me for 40 years. Oh my God. 34 years. Like, what the fuck do I know about other people? Like, damn, dude, you know you better than I do, so I trust you to figure your shit out when and how and where you need to. I think my responsibility is not to get on my soapbox and tell people how they need to fix their problems. My responsibility is to go within myself and fix my problems and take care of my own growth and become who I feel I need to be. I need to get aligned with my authentic self, because then I'm my best version of myself, and inherently that makes me contribute better things to the world around me, which in turn accomplishes what I'm trying to do, which is to have a better impact on this fucked up world. Even though I find everyone to be fucking annoying. I think that there is better out there. I think that there is equality for us. I think that everyone should have access to all the same shit, and it's possible. Anyways, I'm like just having all these realizations in the last couple weeks. I've had mood swings and attitude issues. A lot of tears have been shed. I definitely picked up the phone and called people. I talked through a lot of things. I asked people a lot of questions about like, hey, you've been through something similar. How did you make it through that? How do you feel about that? Like, how did you work through your anger about that? I've just been asking people because I'm fucking desperate, dude. And I'm going to ask you guys. I want to ask you, like, how do you work through your anger and resentment? How do you let go of the past? Like, please tell me, I'm being serious. What do you tell yourself? Like, what are your mental steps? What activities do you do to help you with that? I want to be healed and aligned. I desperately want that. And I'm asking other people for input and advice and tips and tricks on how to help me get there. It's like, if I'm going to put it on the internet, I might as well fucking ask for help. Because I don't know everything. And I don't want to keep coming and sitting in this chair and being like, you should go for a hike. It's good to go outside. Okay. I hike all the time and I'm fucked up. I have 30 houseplants. I have a cat. I have a dog. I bought my dream car and I'm still upset. Like, these external things are not fucking fixing it. So I'm just throwing my hands up and I'm saying, what else you got? What else is out there? What else can I do? I started taking steps to change my diet, to start journaling again and actually being alone with just me and my thoughts and my feelings. Because I think what I've been doing is like, I talk about my thoughts and feelings here. I talk about it with my friends. I talk about it with my therapist. But I do think that there's value in working it out alone in your journal. And like, I've been doing that the last week, and it's honestly helped me with some of these realizations, because I've put the fucking TV remote down and picked up my journal instead and just been like, I feel like shit today. What's going on with me? And just kind of like work it out with myself. And that's been helping. I've been doing some type of physical activity literally every single day. Stretching, walking, going to the gym. Like, I have been making it a point to nurture myself, get myself some endorphins, move my fucking body. I have the privilege of having a fully functional body that moves. So I've just been getting out there and moving it, which that's not new. Like, I'm pretty good about that. I've just been more mindful about it. Love the word mindful. It's just so funny because my therapist told me in one of my very first sessions over 3 years ago that two of the most like impactful activities I can do for myself is to meditate and journal. And I was like, yeah, yep, for sure. I know all about that. But what about? And it's like, there's definitely a difference between knowing it in your head and like actually knowing it in your heart and being aligned with that activity. And I think I'm reaching the place where I'm like, it has clicked. The light bulb has come on. I am aligned with the value that is happening here, the value that is being gained from these activities. It's starting to click with me. Instead of doing it to check it off a list, I'm doing it to really do it. I'm journaling because I need to work through these thoughts and feelings. I'm exercising because I need to take care of my body and my mind. And I'm going to be changing my diet. I went grocery shopping yesterday. I bought a bunch of really healthy food. I got some meal prep to do. I am working on it. And I'm working on it from the inside out, which it's literally everything I've always fucking spouted to other people. You got to look inward. You got to work on you. Can't solve an internal problem with an external resource. I say it all the time. But it's really, really, really interesting the way our ego shields us from ourselves. I'm just beginning to crack the lid on these things. My ego has been fractured all the way through for the first time ever. My ego's definitely been hurt before, but not like this. Now my shit's upside down, dude. I'm going to be a new man. I'm going to be a new woman because I hate men. I'm just kidding. I don't hate people. I'm hurt by people. I don't hate men. I am hurt by men. And I have to work through that hurt and find the forgiveness. Yeah, as I work through these things, one of the homework assignments or activities, if you will, that my therapist recommended for me this week was to write down where I would like to be a year from now. Because last week I was sitting on my therapist's couch, bawling my eyes out, saying, this is not where I want to be in a year. I don't want to be sad, angry, resentful Holly who's avoiding human contact and stewing in her pain. That is not where I want to be in a year. This isn't working for me. I'm not happy. And then I had nothing else to say after that. And my therapist said, well, who do you want to be? And he encouraged me to write it down. So I did. I wrote something in my journal that night. I sat on my couch and I wrote at the top of the page, 1 year. And then I just wrote free flowing where I would like to be in a year. And if you don't mind, I would like to read that to you guys now and share with you what I wrote. A year from now, I want to be someone that I fully respect, not just in part, but in all things. I want to be someone who works through her pain and lets go of the past. A woman of strength and resilience who does not carry her anger on her back like a cloak of imagined protection. A year from now, I want to consistently behave in ways that are fully aligned with my true self. I want my finances, my health, my home, and my hobbies and relationships all to be a reflection of who I really am. My true self is compassionate, fun, forgiving, relaxed, and at peace with herself and her place in the world. I want to be a woman who attracts others through the positive energy of humor, wisdom, growth, and a fair perspective on life. I want to be a woman who others look up to and respect. A year from now, I want to be free of the anger, resentment, and blame that I have carried towards those who have wounded me. I want to really let go, over and over, until it no longer weighs me down. I want to have forgiven myself and no longer blame myself for allowing trauma to happen to me. Other people's behavior is not a reflection of my value as a human being. Maybe a year from now, I will really believe that. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. My heart and my ears are open. Please share with me if you relate to any of this, if you have worked through any of this, if you are currently working through any of this. I am open to having people hold my hand and give me a hug and go through this with me, or encourage me, or share your secrets to life with me. I am open. Love you so much. Thank you again for being here. I will catch you next time. Later.